everyone, welcome back to Rose's Raw Reality, where today we are going to be looking at the Sony A7C with the kit lens. And I'm going to be going over my biggest cons and pros of this camera and tell you why this camera isn't quite for me. I'm also going to show you some footage, how it does in comparison to the ZV1 and the iPhone. Now, for the purpose of this review, I am only going to be looking at this camera lens combo. I'm not going to be looking at other ones. I know you can use the G Master lenses on them, but for this review, we are just looking at this little setup right here. So let's get into it. To start this off, I want to say that I think that Sony made this camera for vloggers and video content creators because it is a compact full frame camera. It's very light and it's easy to carry around and hold up. It has a flip screen so you can see yourself when you are making videos. But the kit lens, you guys, my first con. As much as it seems like this camera was made for vloggers and video content creators, the lens that they paired with this camera for the kit lens, oh no honey, you do not want this. It is a f4 to 5.6 28 to 60 millimeter lens, and let me tell you, that is not what you want when you are holding a camera in this range and filming yourself. You want it more like f1.8 or in the 2s or whatever, but you do not want it up where it is. And I am going to show you why. Let's turn this baby on. And at the widest point at f4 at 28 millimeters, yeah, you can only kind of see my head. You can kind of see whiteboard corner there and a little bit of the MacBooks, but you can't see much. Where if you look at the iPhone right here, you can see that stuff. You can see around me. If I wanted to do a box opening right here, or I wanted to show you guys something, there wouldn't really be enough room for it with this lens at the widest point. As much as it is a pro that this camera is light and compact, the con of the lens definitely outweighs the compactness of the camera. So what's next? This camera doesn't have a recording limit and you can charge it while you're filming. You can go on for a long time. I mean, especially if you have a massive SD card. You can pretty much film until there's no more room. But if you do have it plugged in, there is a downside. If you want to flip out the screen like so and adjust it, you're gonna have some trouble. Why did they do this? I don't know. On the ZV1, this whole thing right here where you plug shit in is on the other side. So why they put something in the way of the flip screen, it just does not make sense to me. So definitely think that in this case, the pro of being able to charge it while you're filming and to not have a recording limit and not have to get up every 30 minutes and press record again outweighs the con of this flip screen immobilization. But there is something else to break this tie on why the cons outweigh the pros in my opinion. So when I was first looking for a new camera, one of the features that I really wanted was a camera that shot 4K at 60 frames per second, and this one only does 4K at 30 frames per second. But I'm not gonna fault this camera for that because it's a feature that I knew it didn't have. But what I didn't know was that this camera would be noisy. Now, wait, because that might sound way worse. When I unboxed this, if you didn't see the video, check it out. These things right here were so loud that I actually thought there was something loose in the camera. Wait, what is that? You guys hear that? Like, can you hear that? And if I didn't have these straps on here right now, it's noisy. It's a weird another design flaw. Kind of like when you have the charger in here and you can't really move the flip screen. And it's kind of a problem if you want to move around and blog if you don't want the strap here. But if I cut this off, then I won't have something to put the strap on if I need it. And on top of that, this lens is loud too. So this is loud. This is loud. And it adds to the defects and the cons of this camera. Now, I don't know if this is just my A7C or it's a bug with all of them, but when I press record, the light doesn't turn on. How am I supposed to know that I am recording if there's no indicator? And yes, I can see it on the flip screen, although the flip screen also has an issue. I'll have it on for less than a minute and all of a sudden it will just turn black and I'll be like tapping it, trying to get it to turn back on, and it doesn't do it, which is actually a big enough issue that Sony has an article on their website to let you know what to do if your screen is black. And the very first thing on their checklist is to make sure that your camera is on. And if it's on, to then make sure that your lens does not have the cover on it, which hopefully if you're having this issue, it's as simple as that. But if it's not, maybe your camera is plugged into an AV source, which pretty sure you'll notice that there's a cord coming out of the camera and attached into a TV. And if that doesn't work, press the finder button and see if that works, which did not work for me. So if you're like me, then you press the display button. And once you've pressed that multiple times and it still has not worked, then you factory reset the camera, and only then do you know that it is hopeless for you to continue on trying to figure out what the heck is wrong, and you send it back to Sony for some repairs. So now that I know that this is a real issue people are dealing with, I'm going to add a half point on the cons, which makes the cons outweigh the pros, and which is why I'm going to pack this thing up and send it back to get the A7S III, which has all the features I want. I originally was just going to return the lens, but because I bought them together, I couldn't just send back the lens. With that said, it still is a great camera, and I did use it over the holidays with my family looking at lights and for a box opening, which I just shot right after I opened this, and I did not realize the exposure was not at 0. It actually was overexposed, but I'm going to show you guys a clip anyway. This is the B-roll footage for the newer lights unboxing, and I shot it on the A7C on auto. I also recorded myself doing this with the ZV1, so you can compare what the footage looks like. But keep in mind that the A7C is overexposed, so there's a lot of parts where it's very washed out or too dark to see. So I was not able to use this footage. Alright, so now that you've seen this, I want to show you what the cameras look like in low light condition. So I'm going to show you a couple clips looking at Christmas lights and see if you can tell which camera is A and which camera is B. The A7C has a 5-axis in-body stabilization, but the lens has no stabilization, making it much more shaky than the ZV1 with the electronic stabilization, although the ZV1 does crop in with active steady shot on. And if you haven't guessed by now, camera B is the A7C. The footage I shot are not the best that you can get. I didn't tweak any features, had everything on auto just to see what this camera's like straight out of the box. This is just the basics of the Sony A7C with the kit lens. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see more videos like this. And I will see you all later. Bye!